We're having fun already. So hi, I'm Ron Drake. We are on our inaugural episode of Perry Live. I'm super honored to do this first episode with who's now become a really good friend of mine, Mayor Gordon Johnson. And thanks for coming on
You bet.
this little new venture right here in downtown Perry.
Well, everybody in town knows of Main Street, and Ron is here, Ron Drake. He's a consultant. He is working with Main Street to help us work on some projects
Right.
for this community, because everyone says from my first day in town, I'd like it to be active downtown like it was when I was a kid.
Right, right. And there's certain reality is downtown Perry going to be like it was when you were a kid?
Yeah.
I mean, probably not. But I think maybe the idea behind that is we just want our downtown to be vibrant and active
Right.
and alive.
Right.
So how important do you think? How important is that to you and to Perry to have a vibrant downtown?
I believe for the survival of our downtown historical structures, we have to do this now,
Right.
because the buildings are old and they're getting older.
No, that's
And
exactly right.
If the
right.
maintenance is not kept up with owners in there who have active and taken care of those buildings, then they're going to collapse, and then your downtown is really gone.
Yeah, you're right. So that's an aspect I think many times people in the community aren't really thinking about when they say they want it to be active again, like they were when they were kids. They're maybe thinking more of the just someplace to go and to hang out and have fun. But it's very true from a structural side. I mean, this is literally make it or break it
Right,
time for a lot of these buildings.
Right. It's time to do it, or it'll be too late.
Right.
As far as activity, I just want to help the community with sales downtown, with a gathering of those very, very important sales taxes for the county, for the state, for our city.
Right.
Because without that, then what options do you have to support a city, a
Right.
county, or a state? And it just goes counterproductive when you do not have a good sales tax base, and that's what I'm looking for. With new, vibrant boutiques
Right.
downtown,
Yep.
more than one in a building. you know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Several businesses in one location.
Right.
So how do you think this relates to, what is the relationship with this downtown revitalization effort and, for example, the closing of Walmart?
Oh, well, I think this is a golden opportunity.
Right. I agree.
I embrace this because I believe that our local merchants can now plan on expansion.
Right.
New businesses can start up that may not have been able to 5 years ago.
Right.
I'm looking at people and I say, your business is this size, you can go to the next level. Instead of just being a small town business, you can be a destination store. You can be, you can open a boutique. You have a business that provides a service. Well, that business will work right into a retail business
Right.
if you would open a boutique
Right.
and do what you do.
Right.
And sell the products that you go and install for people that you may not sell.
I think that so many times a lot of downtowns, they feel like, well, we need more antique shops or we need more of these things that maybe they're used to seeing in the past 20 years in downtowns. But I feel like this is a prime opportunity to exactly what you're saying, to expand into, unique retail and experiences where people can come downtown and literally, shop for clothes for their children or for themselves or, maybe that some fun shoes or boots or things that you can't necessarily get other places.
That's where I come to the realization that if I want a dress shirt,
Yeah,
I want a suit, where do I go?
right.
Well, I want to go downtown Perry. I want people to open up businesses that will support all of us
Right,
and benefit all of us.
right,
We can't survive the way we've been going the last 20 years.
right,
And having Walmart decide they don't want to work in that size of storefront anymore, to me is a benefit.
okay,
The sales tax that they generated can be made up easily by our own people, by others interested in developing in Perry and growing in Perry. and providing that same tax base, if not greater.
Well, and plus we know, and this is a generalized statistic, that it's something like that a sales tax is generated by a local business, like say a family-owned business here in town. Say every dollar of that tax base, about 60% of that, 60 cents of that dollar stays in Perry.
Exactly right.
But
Yeah.
then on the big box stores, the Walmarts or the franchise, which we like to have, let's admit
Got
that.
to
But,
have, yeah.
but every sales tax dollar there, what is it? Something like only 10% of that money
Will
recirculates
stay-
in the
will stay
town
in town,
because
yeah.
it all goes back to their corporate
Right.
headquarters.
Right.
So there's a massive benefit by having a large amount of small business or home-based businesses.
Well,
or,
businesses like Thorns,
like
businesses
Thorns,
like
right.
the others downtown that
Right.
are operating here that
Comeback that's been here forever, right?
forever. The restaurant,
Yeah.
oldest restaurant cafe in Oklahoma.
Right.
Foster's Drug, the Perry Drug stores.
Right.
But those are down here on this square.
Right.
We want this to be a destination, and we have to make a destination that gives an experience for a person and their family that they enjoy coming down, they enjoy eating down here, they enjoy
Right.
shopping down here. I know we'll never be a Park City, Utah,
Right.
or Breckenridge, Colorado, but we
Right.
can always be, that jewel out here on the prairie that offers some family entertainment and family dining and corporate dining and those type of things that we need for our own businesses here in town.
So how are we going to get there? That's all, there's probably people saying that, hey, that all sounds fine and good, Mr. Mayor, but how are we going to get there?
Listening to some of the advice you've provided already,
Well, thank you, yeah.
and working together to inhabit these buildings with not only apartments but with multiple businesses.
Right.
Currently, there are businesses downtown who are talking to each other about partnerships,
Right.
sharing those rents, sharing those
Right. Right.
opportunities with their neighbors. And we have some wonderful businesses here in town that could expand to other areas and benefit themselves and us as a populace. But let's just get people to take their old building, call upon their neighbors, friends in Main Street
Right.
to help them clean it up and us get them occupied. You pointed out some ways that we can develop housing downtown on these second and third floors
Right.
that is very cost effective and very popular.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, our country as a whole, we're trending towards downsizing. A lot of people are downsizing. A lot of people are wanting to have less stuff, and so they have more money to spend on experience and to
Right.
travel, do those kinds of things. And so the downtown housing option is a really, really popular housing everywhere. Of course, it's starting in the big cities,
Right.
and it's working its way into smaller towns.
Well, as you know, I live downtown.
that's right, and I do too when I'm here.
Yeah,
We-
and George Rice, my neighbor, we've been neighbors now over 12 years.
Yeah.
And we both love our third floor apartments we've constructed in these
Right.
buildings. And I feel like it's the opportunity now to take those areas that we don't live in
Right.
and provide commercial space.
Right.
And I know there's buildings on the north side of the square, on the south side of the square, that have some beautiful architectural benefit to
There
them
is.
that would provide housing that you could enjoy for 20, 30 years.
Right. I'll do a little shameless plug here. If you get the chance, go go to Flip This Town on Facebook and take a look at some of the videos we've done, even some of the live videos we've done here in downtown Perry. Because I've gotten up on top of some of these buildings, and you hold the phone and the camera and shine it out and see what that view looks like. It's an amazing view, and people
Correct.
will live in these really cool. We're talking about cool, urban lofts
Right.
with wood floors and big baseboards and maybe tin ceilings or even just exposed trusses
Yep.
and brick walls. I mean, just give it a really edgy feel where you feel like when you're in the loft that you're in downtown Oklahoma City or downtown
Right.
Tulsa or something. We can do that here in Perry, but the reality is the view, when you get out there and you look across the street, like where my little loft is and kind of where yours is too, I see right across the street at the library.
Carnegie Library.
Yeah, the Carnegie Library, and I am looking at that, and I find myself just sometimes just standing there early in the morning, a cup of coffee, and just clearing my head and thinking about my day, because it's beautiful.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right. Well, Gwen, my wife, photographs out of our windows all the time.
Yeah, great
and she
idea.
posts them on Facebook. And she gets responses from people who have lived here in the past, who may live in Washington or in Japan, that just love the photographs of the moon or the sun or the clouds,
Right.
just out our window toward the square. And people could afford themselves that same,
I know, and afford
in a
is-
better view.
and it's affordable.
Yes.
And note to self: if I see Gwen in the window, I better close my blinds. I'll be showing up on Facebook.
Yeah, you're right.
Had to throw that in there. But yeah, so we're right now. This is and so as a downtown consultant, this is what I do, and I'm very honored and thankful
Right.
to be working here in Perry. And Main Street of Perry received a grant from a local family
Right.
foundation to bring me in. So it's not a cost to the city. It's not a cost to Main Street. It's literally folks that care saying,
That's
"Hey,
right.
let's try to do something," right? And so I'm here every week. And so if any of you are interested really about, how can you get involved?
Right.
There's with this effort, you can contact Main Street, contact the
Right.
city. I'm easy to find. Or stop me on the street. I'm walking this, people are wondering, why is he walking the streets all the time? Hey, we're walking from building to building.
Right.
So we have one project already that we're like this close to pulling a building permit.
Right.
Things that people maybe don't understand is it takes time to plan a project.
Yes.
If someone wants to build a restaurant and do loft apartments, you can't just get started tomorrow.
Well, it's like the bridge out here we just got
Yeah.
finished. It took a year and a half to build that bridge. I guarantee it took a year prior to that
Yeah,
to plan that
plan
bridge.
it. Right. And as an engineer, we're working on those types of projects,
Yeah,
as
the
well as
surveys and all
anybody.
that you take.
Yeah.
Well, same thing with a building.
Right.
You can't just go jump onto one of these buildings and say, I'm going to fix this up.
Yeah.
There are some engineering consideration, architectural situations, and our ADA considerations.
Right.
So people need to contact Main Street and access Ron Drake, access him to help with that in that regard.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. I've been a part of dozens of restoration and renovation projects throughout the country, but it's really especially in Oklahoma. I've worked in, still working in a lot of communities in Oklahoma, and I know that it's possible.
Yeah.
Gordon, I mean, I've experienced it. I've lived it in communities even far blighted than Perry. And I'm not saying Perry's blighted. I'm saying I've worked in communities that are
Bad shape.
bad shape, and now have great projects
Yeah.
going, and people living in the downtown, and new restaurants and that sort of thing. So I know we can do that here. And so one of the projects that it's been a lot of fun is with I didn't talk to the owner to see if I could mention her name on this, so I'll leave it out for now. But we have somebody that's literally putting in a restaurant downtown, and then putting a boutique. So what you said, I like what you said, multiple businesses in one location, because it's such a long building, and put a little boutique of some sort in the front, a restaurant in the back, two-story kind of a mezzanine thing because they're really tall ceilings, so I might as well maximize that space. And
Absolutely.
do a big kind of secondary space over the bar and over the bathrooms in the kitchen and family friendly. We should have practiced that word before we started. Family friendly. Anyway, it's going to be. I honestly think it's going to blow people's minds. I think that there's going to be people that don't expect that we can have a restaurant, this cool, in downtown Perry.
And we're looking forward to it.
I know.
I've grown more excited each week as I see the progress of the person who's talking to, who's hired an architect,
Right.
who's doing it right,
Right.
who is willing to spend the money what it takes to meet the new building codes,
Right.
and to make it a safe environment. And that excites me, because I think when they speak about how they put their package together, then they are a witness to that, and can speak to others, say, "Look, you can do it, I did it."
Right.
And the cost, there's always cost in everything you do. I mean, Gwen and I have spent a lot of money on our building, but it's our home.
Right.
And it's it's our home. And she and I did not want to live in some place that we couldn't be proud of. And I know the same thing's going on with people who are right now excited about putting something in. They want something to be proud of, and they want this town to benefit from it. And I believe we are. I believe we're seeing a new era in Perry developing right now.
Right. I agree.
And
I agree. You know, timing is everything.
Right.
And, you know, and so tell people a lot of times that even my career right now, if I were to try to do this career 10 years ago, it wouldn't be as successful.
Wouldn't have failed.
Yeah. I mean, because of where, again, our country is kind of trending,
Right.
and where the timing is going, and this whole idea of, you know, there has been buildings in Oklahoma that are starting to fall, and there's in
Correct.
Arkansas, where I'm from, they're starting to fall. So there's just a difference in the air today than there were 10 years ago. And so, you know, on the same time, I kind of tell people, if you were really, really working hard to make this happen 10 years ago and it didn't happen, we still really thank you. It's not
Right.
necessarily that.
Right.
It's just sometimes it's just in life, it's just a matter of timing.
Well, you know, years ago they had the urban renewal projects.
Yeah.
And as an engineer and working for architects in that time, everything had to come down.
Yeah.
We're saying that's
different, right.
We are
We
wanting
wanna
to build everything
save.
back up.
Right.
We want to save our structure.
Right.
Arkansas, you're talking about, I was over there in the 80s doing projects, and I just remember this. Arkansas is 75 years older than Oklahoma. It's been a state that much longer.
Yeah.
And so their buildings are that much older.
Right.
And so I can see where the tourist meccas have had to revitalize and keep those buildings vibrant and in good condition. And that's where we are now. If we don't do this, we're going to end up with some collapsed structures.
It's going to look bad, and if one falls and it knocks onto another one, I mean, it literally is a domino effect. Can you imagine downtown Perry without the historic buildings, or even just Perry? Can you imagine Perry without the historic buildings in this town?
No.
I mean, it literally is the identity. It's the heartbeat of this community.
This square.
This square is, yeah. Which I think it's absolutely beautiful. And you know, again, something else I want to encourage you, the viewers, to literally get out of your car and walk around and just soak in the architecture and the details that are in these buildings. I mean, someone like me, and when I've been fortunate in this little time bringing some friends, or even when I do the Facebook Lives and people that I know in other parts of the country, they just keep saying, "Wow, your downtown, this downtown is amazing."
It is. It is. We're very fortunate.
I know.
Our forefathers that began this city and planned this city and put together this town did great work.
They absolutely did.
Genius work.
Genius work. Right.
And so we need to build on that and preserve that.
So I want to kind of go back just briefly on the point you made. This is very true. This effort does cost money, right? So the building we talked about with the restaurant and the retail, it's also going to have 2 loft apartments on the second floor. So part of that deal is that whole building's got to be brought up to code. You know, it has to have all new electrical, all new plumbing, all new HVAC, of course, all new framing and that sort of thing. And it's going to have sprinkler systems.
Right.
I mean, you cannot, no matter where you are in the country, you know, sometimes there's some grandfathered in, but as far as any new development, whether it's a 100-year-old building or brand new, if you're going to have residential above an assembly space or restaurant where there's people cooking, you've got to have sprinklers.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the S word freaks people out in downtown.
It did me for a while.
Right.
You know, until I just, you got to do it. It's part of the cost of having a business.
Yeah.
And it's not an asset that'll bring you back more money, but if you sprinkler now and you decide you want to sell, then it's done.
Yeah, if somebody
does
wanted to put a
up the
restaurant
value.
or something like that, yeah. And you do get some insurance breaks and that kind of thing. But I think that, you know, a part of this message that we do have to talk about is we are going to bring these buildings up to code.
Right.
You know, I think when someone purchases a building and that's a big expense, they think that, well, if I double that expense, so I buy a building for $50,000, I should be able to spend another $50,000 and bring in. That's not the case. I mean, you're probably going to spend more than that, depending on the size of the building. Because, you know, here's the reality, guys. The loft that I'm staying in, when I turn the light switch on, I want the lights to turn on. I want the toilet to flush,
Yeah.
right? I want it to be up to code. I'm living in it. I want the microwave to work when I have the TV on or whatever.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got to get out of this, little bit out of this mindset of trying to cut corners to do these projects because it's not safe. And
No, the do-it-yourself days can be too dangerous.
yeah,
I mean, I did a lot of work myself, but I hired the electrician. I hired the plumbers, and I feel better about it. I feel better. My building is to code, that was active at that time. All the wiring's in conduit.
it's beautiful too.
Yeah.
Your space is beautiful,
And the
you can
plumbing
tell it's
is-
done right.
Plumbing is up to code and done right by plumbers.
Yeah. So we're that's part of what we're doing. We're, you know, the mayor and new city manager Larry Pinnell, which if you haven't met him yet, you really need to.
meet
He's a
him.
great guy.
Yeah.
The building inspector. We're all trying to work together to make sure that we're going to make this effort as seamless as possible, as safe as possible, utilizing, you know, every town I work in, we all use the International Building Code.
Right.
So, you know, every town is the same that way. But there's some ways that we're working within the existing building code, which gives us a little bit of variance over brand new construction. And we're going to find, you know, the best avenue for every project, I believe.
Right. I think that's where it's exciting for us, is that we can all work together and come up with plans and ideas that will fit each situation.
Right. So one of the cool things, and so part of the reason why I've got Mayor Johnson here on this my first, you know, thing episode, first thing, we're going to call this a thing. You know?
The thing, yeah.
Is I think that what's important for, again, the people of Perry to realize is this time, maybe again about timing or whatever, this time, this downtown effort. Now we're talking about all of Perry, but like for me, my job is to help with the downtown. And I know you guys are working on other aspects of Perry, but for me, I'm a downtown consultant. This desire is coming from the top down. I mean, I think that if we talked to probably anybody at City Hall and said, how important is this revitalization effort, I think everybody would say this is one of our top initiatives.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is, exactly. We all recognize it, whether we're involved in it daily like some of us are. Everyone recognizes this opportunity.
right,
And it's time to take advantage of the people who are willing to take the risk.
right,
And in every business, you got to admire a person who gets a set of keys to a building and puts their heart and soul and money into it
right,
to take that risk. Whether they become a wonderful success or they have to close in a year, they're willing to take that risk. And we as a city and as citizens have got to be willing to support them
right.
in every way we can.
Well, and the other cool part too is I had lunch out at
Excuse me.
I had lunch out at Ditch Witch today, and you know, talking with the folks out there, and Ditch Witch and Charles Machine Works, and these companies we know, right? I mean, they're a heart and soul of Perry. This is also high on their priority list as
right,
well. So
right.
we have the corporate side that's saying we need this, and we have the
Right.
city, and so we hope that the community will grasp on and say we need this too.
Right.
And we will support. So when that new restaurant opens, we're going to show up. And I had a great ribbon cutting for
That's right. Jennifer Rojas.
Jennifer
Simply
and
Home.
Simply Home, and a lot of people showed. I think there was
Yeah.
40 or 50 people in there.
Yeah.
And showing the support for the new business downtown. And that's what it takes, guys.
Yeah.
It really takes the community, everybody saying we're doing this.
Jennifer and Luis, her husband, they're so grateful because both of them are involved in this.
Right.
I mean, heart and soul.
Right.
And so we've she's been here in this square for a number of years. She worked for her uncle here, who had LJR, Leroy Rowland, and she is pushing that business on a new level with herself, being in charge and in control. And she's taking a risk, and I admire her.
I do too.
And,
I do too.
all these all these people in that come into our town and are willing to ask us to help them create a successful business. You got to respect them. You got to love them for that matter.
Well, and for that same matter, we got to really love and respect all the ones that have been doing
Yep.
this for a long time as well. There's
That's
a
right.
lot of great business in downtown Perry, and we are going to talk a lot about some of the new
Mm-hmm.
business and things that are happening. But we always want to give kudos and ask people to support the business that has
right.
been here for quite some time.
I just want them to expand.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Or so as we go, folks, we're about to wrap this up.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more and more about new projects. I'm working on things that I can't really talk about
Right.
right now, but I'm honestly working on 3 or 4, maybe even 5 potential projects right now that are really exciting. And as they come more to life, we'll talk about them.
Right.
But also we want to talk about not maybe just only expanding with some of the existing businesses, but also, expanding maybe the way they promote themselves, expanding the way we're promoting Perry to the region, expanding the way we promote on social media and those kinds of things. But we need to talk about we'll be talking about some of the changes that's happening within Main Street, the Main Street Board, and some exciting things going on in Perry Main Street. So
That's
we have a
right.
lot of, that's part of the reason why we decided to do this, is because we really have a lot of great positive things we want to share what's going on in Perry.
It's exciting, folks. That's all I can say. It's very exciting.
That's right. So, yeah.
Get involved if you can. You'll love it. You'll
That's
have
right.
Fun.
Get involved. Talk with Kayla Schrum at Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
Talk with Noel Black at the Chamber. Of course, you can always get a hold of the mayor, and again, find me walking the streets, and and we'll put you to work. There's a lot of things we
Yeah.
want to do. A lot of things we're talking about with some facade renovations and
Mm-hmm.
events. We're trying to put on some fun events, and we need help. Again, it's more than just one group or entity. It takes a village. Literally.
The little art program we did,
Yeah,
a pop-up
Alley of the
this
Arts,
last summer,
yeah.
that was great. It was fun. There was I don't know how many hundred people showed up, but it was well over 200 people came through there and just helped celebrate that. And there's probably 30 or 40 people who put it together along with under Kayla's direction, Kayla Schrum.
right.
And that was a fun event, and it was exciting. And I'd like to see more of those, and we're going to do more of those.
I think we
of
will.
events.
I think we will. I think without a doubt we're going to see.
Yeah.
We're going to see much more of that. So, well, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much
bet.
for doing this
bet.
with me.
You
I'm
bet.
proud to call you a friend. We've become good friends. You guys caught us laughing. We were worried that we were going to duke it out, but we somehow were able to.
Kept the arm wrestling to a minimum.
So, guys, thanks for watching
You bet.
Perry Live, and join us next week. We'll be doing it again.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.